am your host, Marsha Florence, of Just Ask Podcast Live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me today. And as usual, you know how I like to do it. Bring you some news that you don't know very much about, update you on resources that are available throughout the state of Michigan and beyond, and introduce you to guests that you have not seen before but know some resources of their information. So today we're bringing our quarterly news reporter, and I call her a news reporter because this lady here has this wonderful paper that always gives you updates on resources that are happening now. So, of course, without further ado, I want to introduce our returning quarterly guest, Pat Rencher. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
Marsha. How are you?
I'm good, Pat, and good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Okay. So, Pat, I had to give that introduction because you come to see us every quarter. And when I say quarter, is it every 3 months? Is it really every 3 months that you come?
Every 3 months, 4 times a year, we produce Urban Aging News.
Okay. All right. So now today I know we're going into, is this our summer edition? What edition is this?
This is the summer 2022 issue.
Summer 2022. Okay, so a lot going on in summer 2022 too as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. So we're not going to take a whole lot of time with our intros. We're going to get straight to this paper here because, I always enjoy looking at the paper. And the paper is very, but let me say this before I go into the paper. It's one thing about that paper, Pat. People aren't getting a chance to see up close and personal between Just Ask Talk Show and that paper what resources are out here that they can get to, because with COVID still being in place, it's difficult for people to get to places or find out about services.
That's true. That is true. And these two are the media that both of you and I deal with is very accessible to people, either TV or through the printed page.
Very much. So we do get calls in reference to your paper, and hopefully we always filter those calls back to you. So a lot of people are interested, especially in this season of caregiving. So we definitely want to talk about that. But let me go to the very first page of what we call, what's this, Pat? Excuse me, the cover page. Every time you come, we have to show these beautiful different cover pages that you have. So tell us about the cover page we're looking at now.
So we took a look at 2 clinics that have recently arrived in town, Oak Street Health and Dedicated Health, and they have centers all over the city and all over Metro Detroit, actually. And both of them take Medicare patients. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to look at how well they're doing, how well, if at all, they're serving their Medicare clients who are older adults. And so Pat Anstead, who's a retired medical writer for the Detroit Free Press, has taken a deep dive into Dedicated and Oak Street.
Okay. All right. So it's good to know that there are, I don't want to call them pop-ups, but walk-up centers that people can go to and find out what programs they offer. I mean, we're in a generation now that resources are plentiful. We just have to be able to get to them and talk to someone. Or I don't know if people are willing to go to one's houses anymore at this point, but somehow, how do you connect with our senior and disabled population to get them to know that this services is out here available? Because from the government standpoint, as a retired state worker, if the money is not used, it goes back. It goes back to the feds. Sure. And I don't know they do that in, clinical methods, but just think, if you have a resource and people say, I wish I knew where this was, but they can't find it or haven't heard about it, I wonder, does money go back to those different agencies? Do they have to send money back to the federal government because it's not being used? Just a thought, Pat.
But I got it. But it's in both of those types of clinics to get the seniors in, because that allows them to bill the government. Mm-hmm. So they are very aggressive about seeking seniors.
Okay. So our page after the cover page today, we went to this page here, which is page 4 in the book. So you got Coping and Thriving in a Life Beyond Sight. So tell us about this piece right here.
So I just wanted to highlight the fact that there's a new executive director at the Greater Detroit Agency for the Blind and Visually Impaired. Her name is Stephanie Worth. And the agency provides all kinds of services for people who have low vision or who are threatening going blind, from the emotional issues, support groups, programs to help them live with losing their sight. So it's just a wonderful resource.
Okay. All right. And a lot of people may not be familiar with the. Is it now? Is she part of the library for the blind and visually impaired, or is this just a separate agency? Period.
For the
Okay.
blind and visually
Frozen.
impaired,
Okay.
it's a standalone agency.
Standalone
And
agency.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and they receive Area Agency on Aging funding.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. You know, I think a lot of people, when you're starting to lose your sight or your sight is being affected by some medical reasoning and stuff, they don't want to seek out the agencies that have a lot of resources for them to go by. Now, you go to the doctor say, okay, you know, you're losing your sight gradually, blah blah blah. You're gonna need some assistance. You know, you get depressed. You're depressed and you're feeling bad, and you're like, well, I don't know where to go, who to go to, or anything like that. And that's why I say, ladies and gentlemen, just ask. Okay, so Pat, you know, I'm glad you have that piece in your paper, because somebody's gonna know someone who's losing their sight, whether it's from diabetes or any other health conditions. Even COVID is affecting vision. So we don't know what it is that causes a person to lose their sight, but we do know that there's a lot of resources and answers to some questions to help you get around better and to maintain being productive, you know, in your own home. And that's key. If you have a disability of any kind, the first thing that comes to mind is that I won't be able to stay in my own home. Now that would be the reason I would be looking for resources even more, because I want to stay home. I don't want to be uprooted. You know, and that's just me. But I think that, you know, as we go through our journeys of life changes, we need to seek out more answers to questions before we just say, I want to give up. And hopefully, you know, you don't give up. So let's go to the second page here, which is page 6 of the paper. Combating discriminatory appraisal practice, which costs homeowners their equity. What's going on with that, Pat?
Well,
Did I lose you? I know this.
and they help.
Okay, you're freezing, so I'm going to try to step in here and see if I can answer
Look,
this.
you're
Can you
going
hear
in
me?
and out much. I can now.
Okay. Okay, so this is under the Fair Housing Center of Metropolitan Detroit. Now, what's going on with this? Is this a form or a resource that people can
Well,
use?
so what they're doing is, if you read the article, you'll see where they are helping people to identify some things that they can do, because many often people who own homes in inner cities and Black neighborhoods get under, their appraisals are much lower. And so they will help you with that. And they're offering some suggestions in terms of how to identify if there's an appraisal discrimination. And this is so important because that's where most of our wealth is, in our homes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yep, that should be interesting. So a person can actually contact the Fair Housing Unit and get some feedback on what to do if they want their house appraised, or if they think that the appraisal has been compromised.
The latter, if they think that it's been undervalued.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Okay. And from there, we're going to go to page, let's see, what number is this? I can't see the bottom of the page, but page 7. So state programs offer free dental care to patients with chronic health conditions. Now, who would not want to have free dental care? You know, there's tons of people who are suffering with oral damage to their mouths, whether it's, you know, bad teeth, gum disease, overall, you know, something, tobacco, whatever it is. And so some people are just going along with the program that, you know, even though I may not be of a certain age, I'm not going to have any teeth. So what do we have here?
So this agency, it's called the Michigan Donated Dental Services Program. And they will either take your application online, or there's a phone number that's indicated in the article, where they'll provide especially to people who have chronic health conditions, like if people have diabetes or heart disease or even cancer, and they simply can't afford to get their teeth fixed. There's a program here that will help you. And when I talked to them, when I interviewed them, I thought it was really strange. They said to me, we can't find low-income people to help. And so I said, let me help you.
Wonderful.
And I have.
That's great.
So
That
this
is
fine
great.
lady here is just grinning, because she had her teeth fixed. She had one tooth in her mouth.
Wow. And you know what? Now, one thing, too, people should be aware of, that when you go to the dentist, especially if you're a person who's a diabetic, you just don't go sit in a dentist chair. You need to let the dentist know that you are a diabetic so that they can know if they can properly serve you with the right utensils. Because do you know that if a person is diabetic and they go to a podiatrist or a dentist and don't express that they are a diabetic, they possibly can cause damage to themselves, bleed to death, have a wound that never heals, and people don't say anything. I would never go in and sit in a chair and don't tell somebody what's going on with me. I mean, I'm a hearing impaired person, and I always say I'm hearing impaired so that you know that something's missing if I can't get all the information or a conversation. So I encourage people to, when you go to a medical facility of any kind, let them know what's going on with you so they know how to directly process your services. Don't just sit there in the chair and say, I should have told them. You could tell them. So I think this will be a wonderful program for a lot of people who would like to have their smile, recreated, bring it back. Okay, so
Absolutely.
So let's go to page 8 here. Oh, I recognize this page here. Okay, do you want me to elaborate on that, or are you going to elaborate?
Why don't you?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you see on the bottom right side of your screen, there is the flyers is posted for the Just Ask Foundation's second annual Health and Fun Fair, coming this year, October 6, 2022, at the Eastern Market Shed number 5 from 10 to 2 p.m. We encourage you all to join us in October for this wonderful free health fair and fun fair event. Face painters, clowns, music, chairs massage, food, and all the healthcare providers we could possibly put under one tent for your services. So, Pat, thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to having you join us in October, as well as we're going to speak about your upcoming event as well. So keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, you'll hear throughout the different segments of Just Ask about the Health and Fun Fair event for October. All right. So, Pat, here we go. Now, this looks nice and familiar. And, Pat, this is your event, so let's talk about that. Let you have the floor.
Yeah. So annually, a group of agencies that provide services to seniors had been putting on what we call the Aging Matters Education and Expo. And we usually did it in the fall because that's during open enrollment. We wanted to give people a chance to learn more about their Medicare plans and so forth. But we decided this year to avoid the fall because we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe another surge. We hope not. But instead, we're having an event, a free event, Thursday, August 11th from 8 to 3 at Wayne County Community College. Anybody who remembers the 1970s sitcom Good Times, Bernadette Stannis, who was Thelma, the daughter, is going to be our keynote speaker. She has written a book about her journey with her mom who succumbed to Alzheimer's disease. Okay. And registration starts July 1st. By the time this airs, there's a call-in registration as well as online registration. And in addition, there'll be elder law workshops along with caregiver self-care workshops. And a free lunch and free breakfast snacks.
Great. Well, we'll be there, Pat. We will definitely
Yeah.
be there. Okay, so we encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, to write down this date, August 11th, 2022, as well as if you think you may not remember that date, then I'm going to bring back up Pat Rencher's email and phone number so that you can definitely call and ask when does this event take place or order the paper. All right, so we're going to go to page 14. Now, you know what, Pat, it is a wonderful thing, but do I see elder basketball players? Is this a senior basketball league here?
It is, absolutely. They're called the Michigan Spirits Senior 80-plus women's basketball team. And they're looking for new players. This is not what I identified for our page. I think I was looking at the article to the left, but we can say a little bit about that.
Okay.
But these ladies are 80-plus years old and have been playing basketball, compete in competitions across the country, and they're looking for some new players.
Okay. That's one. I see some familiar faces in there. That's one. That's wonderful. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so let's go over to. So you got giving money to family can be deemed a gift, complicating Medicaid and eligibility. Okay, so what is this attorney Bob Manor? Okay, what's his story?
Yeah. So what he's telling us is that a lot of people think that if they think that they're not going to have enough money to be able to apply for Medicaid, for instance, for long-term care services, then families will give money to individuals within the family thinking that makes them Medicaid eligible. And as you probably can tell us, Marcia, there's a 5 to 7 year look back. And some of the things that families do, they can be penalized for, and Medicaid won't accept that. So he just does a deep dive into how to be careful with gifting family members.
Okay. Okay. And I think people should know that. Okay. So, it's not just cut and dry anymore, ladies and gentlemen, where you feel like you can leave something for someone, or if you're trying to seek placement in a assisted living facility or a nursing facility, these things come up. All the things that you do. And it's not, one thing about it, Pat, most people don't realize it's not a bad thing to give somebody a financial gift or anything, but it has to be noticed somewhere so the other family members won't feel like, well, what'd you do for them? Or you didn't do this for me. It's a lot going on with families these days where when someone passes on or is deemed unable to take care of themselves, when family members come in to supposedly support and help, a lot of them are making matters worse. You haven't been around. You come in when you get ready. I know this is your mom or your dad, but you've been estranged. The neighbor's been helping or the cousins have stepped in, and now here you are, the son or the daughter, coming in to save the day, but don't know anything about their condition, their finances, none of the business. So I know everybody can't seek legal assistance, but we should. We really should. So good
Well,
article.
and we have free services to Wayne County residents.
Yes, good one. All right, so here it is. We're going to news brief. What's going on in this news brief, Pat?
Well, I just wanted to, this was another situation where the gentleman, this agency told me they can't find people to give the money to. So under caregiver support, there are two programs, two scholarships that are being made available to families, family caregivers. One is through the Alzheimer's Association, and that information is there. And the other is through a new group called Team Susie Foundation, and they grant support to caregivers and families caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's. And the grants are from a wide range of things, from respite care and daycare, tracking watches, in-home security cameras, and alarms. So just to name a few, they don't do any, they do mobility and safety improvements, but they do not do remodeling projects.
Okay.
They might build a ramp for you, but both of those are resources that are underutilized.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. All right. And page 24, Medicare advisor versus an agent.
Yes. There was an article last year that a Medicare agent or advisor wrote and disparaged the other one. And so this person, Lynette Smith, registered nurse who now sells Medicare plans, she was very upset. She called me. She said, that is not true. She said, it doesn't make sense for an advisor or an agent to just sell anything to older adults. You really have to take into account what their needs are and so forth, because it impacts their commission. Because if they don't stay on the plan long enough, it isn't meeting their needs, the advisor and the agent get a chargeback. They lose money. So her point is to tell you that, to give you some ideas about what you should look for in either an advisor or an agent, and to tell people exactly what the service entails.
Okay, so she's clearing up some of the myths.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. And our last page here. Okay, Medicare 101.
Yeah, as I said, it's that time. And so the local Detroit Area Agency on Aging, which actually runs the Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Programs, offering on July 11th sessions either by Zoom or by phone to bring you abreast of, keep people abreast of what's happening with Medicare, what the changes are, and as well as Medicare fraud.
Great. So I'm gonna leave this page up for a second because somebody's writing this down, Pat. This is coming up real soon too. So you have options, ladies and gentlemen, to either go by Zoom, a Zoom meeting, or if you want a teleconference, that number is available for that as well. So hopefully somebody is paying attention and will write this information down and get clarification on Medicare issues, because a lot of times you get confused and you're trying to figure out which benefit do you have and which one is being used first when you're sick. Okay, is it the red, white, and blue card? Is it the green and white card, or is it your Humana Blue Cross card? So a lot of that is a confusion. It really is, and I think that, and I'm going to tune into this myself, Pat. I think it's entitled to know about, just how this card is to be used. Every year you see the commercials, and the commercials telling you what to do, to call and get Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D, but you don't even know what they are. And a lot of people don't read it, so they don't know. But a lot of people don't know, too, on the back of that card is an ombudsman phone number that if you're in the hospital and you feel like you do not need to be discharged, you are still unable to be well enough to go home, you can call that number on the back of that card, and they have a representative that calls the hospital or within the hospital and stops the discharge to find out what is the issue with the person if they feel like they're uncomfortable in going home. So a lot of people don't know that, but they do now. Okay. All right.
And we've done several pieces on the ombudsman as well. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a lot going on. But what I want people to do now, ladies and gentlemen, look for this cover page. Okay. So Pat, where can people find the paper at?
So we deliver papers to all libraries in the Metro Detroit area, to senior centers. We're not quite back at our pre-COVID distribution of churches, but grocery stores, pharmacies, senior centers, and libraries.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to
we're online. Yeah. The
Yes,
paper is online at urbanagingnews.com.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I mean to bring that up. I'm sorry, Pat. Let me make sure I get that out there too. There is your phone number in urbanagingnews@yahoo.com, so somebody can actually reach out to you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, now keep in mind, I see what page was that, Pat. I'm trying to make sure I find the right page to talks about your event coming up. Let me see. Oh, that's mine. October 6th, 2022. That's ours at Just Dance Talk Show. And this is Patricia Rencher's event coming up in August 11th, 2022. okay, at Wayne County Community College, the Northwest Campus. So mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, for these 2 times this year. It's going to be more events than this, but you know what? We want you to consider coming out to get a lot of resources from these 2 events in particular, because we've done our research to make sure we get the right people for you so you can ask the questions that you miss out on. So now, Pat, I'm going to look for you again. So will you come back before your event, after your event? What's going to happen? Because in August, let's see, we're talking now, your next quarterly visit with us will be what, September or something?
September, yes.
September. Oh, we'll have a lot of feedback. We have a lot of feedback about your event by the time September rolls around here.
Absolutely. And we can further promote your event.
Yes. And most people don't know you've been putting on these events for years. So what number is this?
This is the 7th.
7th?
Annual, the 7th Aging Matters Education Expo. Yeah, so 2019 was the 6th, 7th, 8th. This year would have been the 9th year.
Okay. Well, if it hadn't been for COVID, I know you would have. Yeah. Yep, you would have got one in if it hadn't been for COVID. But that's okay. We're back on track now, so that's what counts. Well, Pat Rencher, will you come back and join us again in September?
I'd love to.
All right. Looking forward to seeing you. So hold tight for me 1 second. And, well, I'll be right back with you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know how I do. I always like to bring you that resource, and I always like to share it with you. So hopefully you wrote down these dates in reference to Pat Rencher's event, as well as the Just Ask Talk Show upcoming event. If not, you'll hear from us again anyway throughout the months. So please feel free to give me a call. Let's see, where am I at? There I am, 1-800-323-5336, 1-800-323-5336. Or drop me a line at Marsha at Just Ask Talk Show if you have a show idea or someone you would like to see come back. I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. And what do I always say? If you know a person with a disability or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. See you next time.